The echo of stones. I have always considered myself a pragmatist. You take a rifle, track a target, make one precise shot. No emotions, just mechanics. So when the elders from the tiny logging settlement of Winslow on the border of the National Reserve started talking about a forest spirit and a curse of the first settlers, I just smirked to myself. They were paying me, Jacob Ryder, for an animal's pelt, not for listening to fairy tales. 6 people had vanished in 3 months. Tracks on the ground pointed to something large, predatory, and incredibly smart. A man-eating bear, I decided, or a deranged mountain lion. Textbook. My guide was Ben, a stocky, silent lumberjack with eyes that held a quiet panic. As we loaded supplies into his beat-up pickup, he whispered, staring at the dark wall of pines, "It does not hunt just for the sake of it, Ryder. It takes, one at a time, and always leaves something in return." When I asked what, he just shook his head. For the first 2 days in the deep woods, what the locals called the untouched old-growth forest, nothing happened. There were signs, broken branches, paw prints resembling a bear's but with unnaturally long, almost finger-like claws. They led deeper, toward the black rock outcrops the locals called the sleeping giants. The air there was thick and quiet, like in a tomb. The bird song died. On the 3rd day, we found the first exchange. Next to a fresh, deeply imprinted track in the moss on a flat stone lay an old button made of tarnished pewter. Ben turned deathly pale. "That is from Henry's jacket, the first one who vanished," he forced out. I examined the button. It was clean, as if not simply dropped but carefully placed, like a trophy or bait. That same night we had a visitor. I was on watch by the fire when the forest went still. Not just quiet, as if someone had muted the sound. From the darkness beyond the ring of light came a heavy, wet breathing, and a clicking, as if someone was tapping 2 stones together. Ben, trembling, whispered, "It is calling." I raised my rifle with the thermal scope, but in the eyepiece was only a chaotic, cold shimmer running along the tree trunks, an absurd picture, as if the forest itself was breathing and its blood was running cold. And then I saw the eyes, not a reflection of the fire, but 2 dull, pale yellow discs glowing with their own sickly light. They looked at me with an intelligence that had no business being in a beast. There was not just hungry malice in them. There was an ancient, gathering hatred. I fired, the eyes vanished. In the morning we found traces of blood, dark, almost black and smelling of copper and rotten earth. We followed it. This was not a hunter chasing wounded game. It was an invitation. It led us through ravines and deadfalls straight to the foot of the largest of the sleeping giants. There, in a crevice hidden by ferns, gaped the entrance to a cave. Inside smelled of death and wild beast, and something else, sweetish and spicy, like old, dried herbs. On the walls were marks from claws, not chaotic scratches but symbols. Angular, repeating patterns resembling runes or a map, and in the depths on a stone dais lay it. This was not a bear, nor a wolf. It was a nightmare stitched from shreds of reality. It lay on its side, breathing heavily, my dark blood seeping from a wound in its flank. The fur was matted, gray-brown, but patches of rough, almost scaly skin showed through. The paws ended not in claws, but in something like black, curved daggers made of ceramic or bone. Its muzzle was elongated like a wolf's, but the structure of the skull beneath the pelt was terrifyingly human. And the eyes. Those same yellow eyes, now dimmed with pain, looked at me not with rage, with a doomed, non-human sorrow. Beside it, neatly piled, lay items: a rusted axe, a canteen, a knife, that same button, and a few other small objects. Its collection, in exchange for the lives taken. I aimed the barrel right between those eyes. My finger rested on the trigger, and then it moved its maw. What came out was not a growl, but a hoarse, distorted, yet utterly articulate sound. Just one word exhaled in agony. Akin. The creature's left forelimb, more like a misshapen paw with an opposable digit, slowly rose and pointed a claw deeper into the cave, to where bones lay in a niche. Not just remains, but an assembled skeleton. Human. And next to it, the rotted rags of 18th century settler clothes and a rusty pickaxe. And on the wall above it, scratched by the same hand that made the patterns at the entrance, words worn by time but still readable. I, Elias Hayward, accepted the curse of the stone to protect my family from hunger and beasts. And now I have become the beast. It is in the stone. It is in the blood. It does not end. Ben groaned behind me. The first ones, they said the first settlers found something here, something in the rocks, thought it was ore, but it entered them. The creature before me breathed raggedly again. Its body began to change. The fur thinned, bones cracked and shifted, becoming less bestial, more humanoid. For a moment in the agony of transformation, I saw not a monster but the tormented face of a man, twisted by unspeakable pain and centuries of weariness. Then the form swam again, but the eyes remained, and in them was a plea. "Bullet, is it silver?" it rasped. Stunned, I shook my head. Regular .308 caliber. It made a sound like a bitter, bloody laugh. "Will not kill, only pain, silver and ash, or your own hand." Its gaze fixed on the hunting knife on my belt. I understood. It was asking me to finish it, not as a hunter taking quarry, as an act of mercy. An ancient curse, not just a werewolf, something living in the very stone in this earth, passed on like a disease or a pact. Elias Hayward accepted it to survive, and became a prisoner in his own skin for hundreds of years, guarding these woods, taking vengeance on those who came to cut down his home, taking them one by one, leaving pathetic souvenirs in memory of who he once was, and whom he had to kill so the curse would not spread further. He was not hunting, he was culling, controlling, and waiting for the one who could stop him. My hand did not tremble as I drew the knife. I, the hunter who came for a bounty, had become an executioner by mercy. I approached, looking into those eyes full of torment and gratitude. The whisper was the last thing I heard from it. "Run, before sunset. The stones will call for a new one." I did what had to be done, quickly and precisely. The body shuddered and went still, rapidly losing its terrible form, revealing underneath something frail and wasted, resembling a very old man. The curse was receding, releasing its prisoner. Ben and I walked out in silence. The sun was sinking toward the treetops. I felt its rays on my skin, but inside I was ice. We walked silently, choking on a quiet that now seemed ominous. I did the job, killed the beast, but there was no victory, only a weight oppressive as those black rocks. And as the first shadows began to thicken and the sun touched the horizon, I heard it, first barely noticeable at the edge of hearing. A dull, rhythmic sound coming not from the forest, but from everywhere at once, as if a stone heart of the earth was beating. Thud, thud, thud. Then the clicking of two stones struck together, first far away, then closer, then right behind my back, though I knew no one was there. Ben looked at me, and in his eyes I saw a new horror and understanding. He heard only silence. The call was meant for only one person, for the one who spilled the ancient guardian's blood, who now stood at the epicenter of a curse left without a master. He grabbed my arm. "Jacob, what is wrong with you?" I pulled away. I could hear it. I could feel it. The pull, an irresistible call coming from the sleeping giants. There was no malice in it, only a cold, ancient necessity, an emptiness demanding to be filled, the hunger of the stones that needed to be sated. "Go, Ben," I said, and my voice sounded foreign. "Run, and do not come back here, ever." He shouted something, tried to pull me, but I broke free. I did not look back. I walked toward the sound, not because I wanted to, because I had to. My legs carried me toward the rocks into the gathering dusk. The scratch on my arm, which I got in the cave from that almost human claw, throbbed faintly. It did not hurt. It sang, quietly in unison with the clicking stones. "I am Jacob Ryder, a hunter. I came to kill a beast, and I succeeded. And now something ancient and endlessly lonely looks at the world through my eyes, whispers with my thoughts, and waits in the shadows of these ancient pines. Waits until the moon rises over the sleeping giants again. And I know that on the first moonless night, I will open the door of my cabin and step into the woods, because the stones are calling, and now they have someone to answer."